Let's wrap. What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you for tuning in. We are going off the cuff right now because only for the second time in 120 plus episodes of kind of doing the live episodes since pandemic, a guest has had to call off. Real life got in the way, so we completely understand, but we want to stay on top of being here every single day for you. So Sophie and I are here. For those who don't know, Sophie Breaker, content manager for Best Served Creative. She is the one behind the scenes making sure that it all actually happens. So I'm excited that we get to talk a little bit. So what we're going to talk about is the channels of Best Served podcast. All right. We have basically had tons and tons of conversations with people at every level of the industry, in every facet of the industry over the last couple months. And we've just kind of put them all together. We didn't know how to organize them. We just wanted to say, let's have meaningful conversations. I was willing to hustle and communicate every single day. We have not skipped a day since March 18th. Yet now, as we kind of look back at the conversations that we've had and we start to look forward as the next conversations, it feels like it's time to get a little bit organized. It feels like it's time to start to kind of compartmentalize some of the conversations to bring you the most value. So the way that that's going to work is we're going to kind of have extensions of Best Served. You've seen, if you've been paying attention, Best Served High. HIGH, hospitality, industry, good health. That was the first extension that we created. And we wanted to do that because a lot of people were asking questions or a lot of conversations were coming about, talking about substance abuse, talking about like the unsustainable nature of the work hard, play hard mentality and lifestyle in restaurants. So we just jumped on that and started having those conversations. So when you look at those conversations, you know that we're going to be talking about people who are working or have worked in restaurants, that are now a yoga instructor, that are working in a supplements, that are a life coach, all of these different important aspects of kind of a holistic view of health and wellness and sustainability, the human sustainability factor within a restaurant. That's the idea. So we're going to have 10, 15, 20, however many extensions, because there's so many stories, so many experiences in hospitality, and we want to share and be a part of all of them. And we want you to know, if you're looking at Best Served High, what to expect from that conversation. So you get the best, most important, most relevant content, conversations, and introductions to humans that are relevant to you. Whew. Okay, Sophie, as we're thinking about this, I want you to just take the role of Jensen's throwing all these different channels at me. What the hell do we do with all this information? And let's talk about some of the specific channels. So big picture, when you think about us creating these different channels, do you like it? Does it seem challenging? Is it confusing? Like, let's get into it a little bit.
In the beginning, I thought it would be like a channel for every day of the week and that each day would be a specific channel. But then we got so excited and we made so many different channels. And then we were talking a lot about how different channels would be specific to different platforms. And so far, we're still trying to get that together because we're going back now and tagging different episodes as different types of our channels. And I mean, I think my favorite one is Best Served Together. I just really love like the name Together. And I mean, I didn't realize there were many ones that you don't think are going to be Best Served Togethers that are like these wonderful human stories in hospitality. And I think that sometimes you start off and you don't know that this is going to be a Together episode. And then you're like, oh my God, this is so real and human and wonderful. And this is the story that it's a Together story.
It's absolutely. I think the thing that's also interesting is they overlap. Like when you talk about the human experience within hospitality, they ebb and flow in between. So when we're talking about, categorizing, I don't like the idea of just putting them in a box, but I do think that if you want to talk about, and we're going to look, let me back up. On the ticker, you're going to see the different channels that we're proposing. If you like the idea of those channels, give us a little thumbs up and say Best Served Together, ! Meaning, yes, I want to hear conversations of just purely human stories within hospitality. Give that to me. Great. And if we throw up Best Served Baked, right? I'm just going to go way off script. Best Served Baked. We're going to talk about that one. Throw that one up there because that was one that Sophie is so passionate about
So
loving
excited.
baking and that
Oh my
background.
God, I'm
So
so
throw that
excited.
channel up. Best Served Baked is going to be about baking, pastries, desserts, and we're going to focus on people who have that as kind of their focus for their jobs, for their industry. Yes, Bo Simmons, Andrew Parr, thank you for being on here, right? Farming is something we want to talk about, Bo, for sure. So Baked is going to be focused on people that are in bakeries, in dessert programs, things like that. Yet we're always going to talk about the human story. So one of the questions I imagine for Baked specifically is, who's the first person that inspired you to bake? Was it baking with your grandmother on the weekends? Was it baking with your mom? We're always going to pull at the stories of humans in hospitality. We're always going to pull back to that. Yet we're going to look through the lens of baked goods. We're going to look through the lens of Best Served Chilled is another channel we're talking about, to focus on beverages, to focus on all my fellow craft beer nerds and distillers and people who are making kombucha. Those are the different places that we want to focus on when Best Served Chilled. Once again, we're going to talk about, why did you get into craft beer? Well, I remember the first time I had a fat tire, the first time I had an IPA, and it completely changed my mind. I said, I got to get into this. That's the story we want to get to, because they're going to say, you know what? I met the brewer of this brewery and it completely changed my life. So I really think that that is some of what I want to talk about as well in this channel. So Jessica
That
Scott,
reminds
yes,
me.
Andrew Parr, Jessica Scott, amazing. She was the pastry chef with us at Tag Restaurant, has gone on, done all kinds of like TV spots, is killing it out in San Diego. Absolutely somebody that needs to be on Best Served Baked for sure. Yep, Cassidy Wine. Surprise, surprise. Cassidy is the executive director, right? I think is the official title of CAVE, Colorado Association of Viticulture and Enology. Did I get that right? Let me know, Cassidy. Wine for sure. So when we think about Best Served Chilled, the conversation that we had with Scott and Jamie from the Storm Cellar in Hotchkiss, Colorado, is exactly the type of conversations we want to have. They have a restaurant background. We got to show off their cool bottle that has the sideways label and why that was important to them. So Best Served Chilled, exactly where we'll be talking to winemakers and getting an idea of their story. Now, not all wines are chilled, but hey, we need to cover names that fit the broadest category. So that's where Best Served Chilled would come into play, focused on the humans producing beverages. So that's really great. All right. Now I don't even know where to go. Throw up another channel, Sophie, and we'll talk about what that channel might be.
I just wanted to answer Julia's question. I assumed that all desserts would fall under baked because sugar is sugar, baked
Yeah.
or not baked.
Well, and it's part of the brand. Best Served, it kind of extends. Best served this way, best served that way, best served hot, best served chilled, best served, right? So it's always part
Right.
of the brand, was an idea that it could extend into, how is something best served, quote unquote. And so baked would just be the category, and it would focus on things that are not baked as well. And it would be ice cream makers, it would be bakers,
Oh, yes.
it
Ice
would
cream.
be pastry chefs. Yes, ice cream.
Ice
Lots
cream.
and lots of ice cream. I'm a fan. It would be, anybody and everybody who's kind of focused in that target audience, because anybody who's into baked goods, likely, maybe not exclusively, but likely is into pastries as a whole, would be totally into hearing a story from an ice cream person. And so when you hear Best Served Baked, and have an expectation of the type of person that's going to be a guest on that show, the type of conversation. And at the end of it, you're going to go, I need what they have. I'm going to their location. I'm buying their product online and having their cookies shipped directly to me, whatever that is. That's Best Served Baked, Best Served Chilled. All of that kind of feeds into that. All right, what's another channel we're thinking about?
We are thinking about fast.
Yes,
Fast.
Best Served Fast, fast casual, multi-unit, franchise. So this is much more of a business-focused side of it. Yet again, humans are behind every business decision that happens in restaurants. So again, we'll stay tethered to the humans in hospitality. Our hashtag unsung hospitality heroes, we want to highlight them. So when I think about, a lot of our contemporaries and chefs are thinking about their fried chicken concept, their sandwich concept, their burger concept, and knowing that the simpler, more casual dining setting is already exploding. Post-COVID, I think is going to be even more crucial and important And so we want to talk about that, give you an idea from talking to, hell, let's go after the CEO of Chipotle and talk about what they've done to scale their company to thousands of locations. Is there some learning that can be gleaned from that then you who have one location of your fried chicken concept looking to get to 3 or 4, can you learn from that and maybe some mistakes as well? So best served fast casual, multi-unit. Are you thinking you have 6 units right now and you're thinking about going into a franchise model? What does that look like for you? So that's a good business focus.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That also included cloud kitchens and shadow kitchens.
Potentially ghost kitchens. Yes. The ghost kitchen
ghost kitchens
involved in that conversation, as well as we're thinking about the dynamic of what's happening with multi-unit, direct to consumer, delivery, pickup, all of that comes into play. So this is awesome. I love this.
Awesome.
Trade organizations, Julia, good questions. Trade organizations, you know, when we're talking about supply chain, I think absolutely we're going to now literally in my head, I'm working on a name for another channel. I think the supply chain is an important part of the conversation. Do they fit into the context of how you end up with the supply chain into a restaurant, into a fast casual, like that, or are they own their own conversation? Just having you ask me that question makes me think it's the own conversation. Like how do broadliners and boutique food distribution companies fit into that model? How do processing plants fit into that? You know, let's throw up whole, best served whole, as we want to talk about kind of the whole experience of food from the seed to the plate, but that felt much more like it was focused on farmers, ranchers, fishermen, school gardens potentially could be a part of that conversation. Maybe that is purely focused on kind of that small community side, or maybe that does include getting it from the farmer to the plate when it comes to the supply chain. So that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that, but as we think about these channels, I also think about who is going to eventually be a part of these channels. And when I think about the person that's working at a broadliner, which is clearly critical to the industry, do they fit into whole? Maybe not. So maybe it is its own channel that, again, you can know it exactly speaks to the full supply chain, and you can get an idea of just understanding, why has your beef price doubled since all of this has started? Well, processing plants are breaking down and shutting down, ranchers potentially aren't able to bring their full staffs on to be able to process and bring those products to the processing plant. So it's a very, very good question for sure. Lindsay of SASIC, best served cares. Let's get cares on there. Lindsay is the executive director, I think is your official title, of the Lee Initiative, started by herself and Edward Lee, Lindsay has been on our show. Edward Lee was on our 100 show, really using they had a model of empowering women in hospitality and food and beverage, and did the pivot so quickly, and now are in 19 cities and have restaurants that are kind of their restaurant that they are paying the restaurants to then feed their communities. Amazing work that they're doing. And now their phase 2 involves farming and supporting farmers getting their products in. So it very much feels like multiple channels. Lindsay's going to have to be on. Her people that are working from the restaurant standpoint and from the farm standpoint, they need to be on these channels. So Best Served Care is really been focused on charitable work and the work that restaurants do in supporting charities, the charities that are working in the nonprofit sector to support restaurants, farms, school gardens, all of that. So those are some important things. Cares and or whole, we've been talking about Big Green. Sophie, you did with those guys. Talk about the work that they're doing, maybe as just like a precursor to the kind of stories we want to highlight in those 2 channels.
Right. Big Green is a nonprofit up in Boulder, and they create learning gardens in schools all across the United States. And they do they're accessible learning gardens that are raised beds so that kids with wheelchairs can get to them, and they teach them about food. It's really more about food literacy and teaching kids who live in food deserts about where food comes from and what it looks like when you pull a carrot from the ground. It
comes from the ground, not from a bag.
It does. and it's actually orange.
Or it's white or purple, like
Right.
or red. I think that's super fascinating. Cassie, you also mentioned educational research and lobbying. Lobbying is very interesting as well. We have a partnership now with Fireside at 5, so it's going to be called Best Served Fireside. Makes sense. Extension of the brand as well. And starting July 7th, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. on the East, 4 p.m. on the West, we're going to be hosting a 5-part series focused on the Paragon pillars, which is our idea of taking the restaurant model and completely turning it on its head and having an expectation that a restaurant, single unit at flow state, can maintain a 19% net profit when 7 to 8% is the industry standard, and many are even below that. It seems like an impossibility, but we feel like bringing stakeholders across every part of the industry and understanding the needs and challenges of everybody involved, and then being able to bring that number to fruition is possible. We also then have a goal. The second pillar is 75% employee retention satisfaction. And when 73% turnover is the norm, and the average right before COVID of tenure in a restaurant was 56 days, which is batshit crazy, we know that we have a major push, but we think that if we map towards that, there's an opportunity. So that's a big picture thing. Fireside at 5, we're going to host a bunch of those conversations, and kind of ending with, if you're investing in your people, if you're shifting the mindset and the tactics around operations, if you're thinking about real estate differently, if you're thinking about the supply chain differently, that's 4 different episodes that I'm mentioning. The 5th becomes, now you have a coalition of understanding and stakeholders to go to legislature, to municipalities, and say, here's what we need for restaurants to be successful in today's market. And we know now how important restaurants are to the culture of a given community, internally within who works in the restaurants, externally who is coming into those restaurants, as well as the economics and the commerce. Restaurants have significantly more leverage than they ever knew. And we can go to the table and say, here's holistically what we think the opportunity is. And if you, as a municipality, want to invest in the sustained success of an equitable, profitable, and sustainable model for restaurants, here's an opportunity to do just that. That's some of the work that we're looking to do. So legislature, lobbying will become a part of that conversation holistically, not piecemeal. We want this one thing and we lobby for that. We want it to be less transactional, more holistic, in the way that we can say, here's all the levers that need to be pulled to be able to have a restaurant have the mere opportunity at success. So dig that for sure. So Bo Simmons, original carrots were all colors except orange. Of course.
I do apologize.
They were. That's so funny. So yes, orange.
I've only planted a lot of kale, and kale is green and purplish. So I apologize if it's not supposed to be green or purple.
Yeah, no, I like it. But the conversation, Bo, super talented chef in Denver for a long time, now farming exclusively, trying to connect restaurants and farms in a more meaningful way. These are exactly the stories we want to highlight. Bo, you'll be on the show. Sophie, Bo Simmons on the show. We'll figure out when and how. Mm-hmm. And actually, Julia's been on the show. Cassidy, you're on the show now. Best Served Chilled, you'll be on for sure. Like, interact with us and you'll just get on the show. That's just what we do. It's all about acknowledging others. That's the whole platform for our show. 95% of the people that have been on our show have been recommended, acknowledged, recognized by somebody else. And I said, yep, let's go. You're on the show. And that means we want to hold space for the likes of, Ming Tsai and Edward Lee and Farmer Lee Jones and Claudine Papin and legends, icons in our industry. And at the same time, I want Matthew Mack on the show. I want Tajai Cook on the show. I want Zuri Resendez on the show. I want Letitia Steele on the show. People that may not be known by the mainstream, yet the work that they're doing and the importance that they hold for our industry, it matters. It truly matters. And so that's the whole mission of this show is really that. So any other channels? Have we gone through all the channels?
No, we haven't gone through like half of the channels.
Let's go. Let's throw some more up there. This is super fun.
Best Served Hot is one of our other channels.
Hot. Trends. We really have stayed away from talking about a lot of food. It's interesting. We're so focused on the food industry, yet my conversations were not like, tell me what's on your menu and let's tell people to go buy your new ramen dish. I don't really care about your ramen dish unless Your ramen dish is on your menu because you grew up eating it, because your grandmother cooked it with you. Your bachan, like my grandmother from Japan, that's what matters to me. If you're serving a dish because you remember growing up in Chicago and going and getting tacos at this small taqueria and you have a memory, a sense memory, I want to talk about that. So when I think about best served hot even and food trends, I'm going to look for the person not who has a new food trend because it's the new hot thing to do and they're doing fried chicken because it's super cool right now. I want to talk to the person who is doing fried chicken because it's meaningful to them and highlight the trend, because I think it is important to highlight new things. And fermentation, I think of being something I'm going to talk about a lot in Best Served Hot, selfishly because I care about fermentation. Yet I want to talk about the first time you had a fermented food and it was, you know, a restaurant that you went to and you got to meet the chef and try their kimchi for the first time and it changed your life. I want to talk about the person that influenced you to care about this thing. And so that's how we'll connect the dots between not just being a like, look at this cool, sexy new thing. We'll look at the cool, sexy new thing through the lens of the people that give a shit about it, that truly it matters to them. So best served hot. All right. Best served good. Yes. CPG, consumer packaged goods. Everybody who's in a restaurant, you have got to start selling to consumers. You cannot, the model of making enough money in the four walls of your restaurant is so challenged that the opportunity to get to the 19% seems like a massive struggle. One of the ways that I see you being able to do that is I think of, I'm going to have a conversation with Alex Seidel today, amazing restaurateur and chef in the Denver area, has, you know, Fruition, one of James Beard there, Mercantile, Chook, fast casual, Australian style charcoal. It's like spit roasted chicken. Unbelievable. They sell their chicken seasoning, the spice that they use to dry rub their chicken. They sell that. Every restaurant needs to do that. Your hot sauce, your pickles, your kimchi, anything and everything that you make that goes on the table that you can package, you need to start packaging it. You need to go to a co-packer and get it done. You can do a couple things. One, you created another revenue stream. Somebody can leave with a $7 16-ounce jar of XYZ, your jam, whatever it is, your chutney. That creates revenue for the restaurant. The other thing that it does, it builds brand. It is really hard to market your restaurant outside of your four walls. It's very difficult. People need to come to you to experience your product. That's a challenge. Yet somebody could buy your Chook seasoning and that could be shipped anywhere in the country, anywhere in your local market. And now people, every time they go to season their chicken, they think about your brand. Top of mind brand recognition matters. It absolutely matters. And then their friends come over and they're having a barbecue, less than 10 people, social distancing, whatever that dynamic is currently. But they come over and they experience that. Say, what is this seasoning that you're using? What is that hot sauce? This is amazing. They go, that's from Chook. That's from this restaurant. That's from my, you know, the restaurant right down the street. They're like, I've never even heard of that restaurant. I'm absolutely going. It's on my list now. That changes the economics. So best served good, one of the most important things that I think restaurants can do right now is that become dynamic in your brand, figure it out, do it. All right. What else?
We have 2 left.
Best served wild. I don't know. It's just a wild card. It doesn't, you don't fit into a category. I don't know. we just felt like there was an opportunity to be like, and this is everybody else who's like doesn't fit into a box, which
until we create a box for them, they go in
exactly
wild.
Like, I don't know where to put you, so you're going to go into wild for now, and then eventually there'll be 6 people in wild, and we go, you know what, they're their own channel altogether. Yep. So, and then last one, oh yeah, this will be the least popular channel for sure. Best Served Live. Best Served Live has been what we called every episode basically for the last 3 months, because I didn't know what else to call it. Best Served Live sounded cool. And I was like, whatever, because we went live every single day. And it is
live.
And it is live. We've pre-recorded some, but for the most part, every single day I have gone live, or every single day I've recorded an episode, because maybe timing.
Oh, this is smart.
So Best Served Media. Julia, you are on fire right now. I like it. Best Served
writing it
Media.
Down.
Yeah, you know, I think media is going to have a whole different type of responsibility coming out of this as well. I think we've gone into this consumption model of media that completely shifted. Nothing wrong with Wild. John Hinman, you'll be on the episodes of Wild no matter what. Even if we're talking about Chow
He was
or
on High though.
your bakery, you're still going to be on Best Served Wild. I don't care. You get your own channel.
Media.
So it's been important to go live. Now live is going to become a different interaction. I'm hoping that me conversing with you, that you asking questions, that us having a dialogue and a banter is valuable to you. Maybe it's not, but I hope that it is. And so Best Served Live will be a Q&A model. Maybe we'll bring people like live onto the show, just ad hoc as we're going, say, cool, they asked a great question. Hey, do you want to come on and talk for a couple of minutes? Let's do that. So the Q&A model, I think, will be interesting for us as well. All right. That's all the channels we have considered. I think now we have a couple potential. I like supply chain, seem very interesting to me. I think Best Served Media seems interesting to me. So those are potentially a couple other channels. Keep the dialogue going with us. I love that a handful of you were interacting with us. I'm super grateful for that. Let's keep that going. Bo, I'm currently trying to get the restaurants that I'm growing gardens for to can, jar, brand, market, and sell their pickled veggies, their gifts. Yes, you and I are going to talk about that, Bo, for sure. You have to. It's not an option. You have to. You have to sell your stuff. You have to. Can I say that? You have to. I could not be more all over that. So, you know, I'm thinking about this weekend. I got to go to the soft opening of Birdhouse, Chris Teagland and Scott Skiva's restaurant in Erie. I loved so many things about it. I love that I had no idea Erie had a little restaurant scene and they all had little alfresco going on. I also love that they're opening a restaurant during a pandemic and rethinking a whole bunch of stuff. They have screens, not printed tickets. And that was a weird thing for Chris because he's like, I'm a ticket guy. I like to touch them. And he was like, no, we need to have the screens. And he goes, no restaurant's going to have tickets? I agree. I also really like that we were tasting some of his sauces and different things. And I was like, you need to start selling these. And he's like, yeah, it's on our wish list. Good. Is it number one? Because it needs to be. And so I literally connected him already with Justin at Redlaw, who is a co-packer. Look them up if you don't know. Start there. Go to a co-packer, then eventually start your own thing. Like, I just think you cannot not sell direct. So I'm going to keep pushing that for sure. All right. The Doomsday Canning Company. John, you're such a... I love that, dude. So this is what we're doing. We're going to start these channels. You're going to start to see, if you look back at past episode, that Sophie's going back and kind of retitling them. And then moving forward, there may be certain days of the week specifically so that you can kind of same bat time, same bat channel, kind of set your expectation that on these days, you're going to have these channels. So look to us for that. Hold us accountable to that too. Push us. Give us more ideas of channels. Share with us. I really want all of you, anybody who commented today and anybody else who watches this, tag somebody who we need to talk to. Hell, throw the name of the channel. They should leave. Like, let's go. Like, we're looking to you guys. We need you to help us find more and more humans to talk to and make sure that we can bring the value to the people who are interested in baked or interested in food trends or interested in lobbying or media, whatever those things are. So that's all we got for you guys today. Really appreciate you all. Sophie, was that fun? That felt good.
It was good. I was nervous, but it was good.
It was good. Yeah. Next time we'll have Sophie talk more. I can tell she was a little nervous before we went on. And it's hard for me to shut up. But definitely, Sophie, thank you so much. I think we're really on to something.
Thank you, everyone.
I think clearly when we ask people to interact with us, they bring some good things to light. We have 2 new channels just from having this conversation.
Already.
So yeah, we got a lot of work to do, a lot of channels to build. And when we say these channels, it's almost like a tag that lets you know, again, what's going on. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Bo, you're great. You're that. Yeah. All right, that's it. We'll talk to you guys and see you guys again tomorrow. Cheers.